On today's PMEA's Take Note podcast, we are talking about a new group that I think if you take part in will give you a regular recharge and help you remember why you went into music education. On today's PMEA's Take Note podcast. Well, everybody, and welcome to this edition of PMEA's Take Note podcast. I am Mark Despotakis, and today we're talking about a new group that you may have heard of. It's called SLAM. Doesn't have anything to do with wrestling or anything like that. It is the Servant Leadership Association for Music. What does that mean? What does it encompass? We're going to talk all about that today, and I'm delighted to have with us Len Lavelle, who is part of that. I'm sure you know Len as the band director at North Hills, one of the great programs in Pennsylvania. Len, thanks for joining us.
It's wonderful to be here. It's wonderful to get to see you and get to spend this time together.
So before we go into this, you were just telling me of a great accomplishment coming up for the North Hills Band program. I want to hear about this. You guys are going to Carnegie Hall. Tell us about that real quick, if you would.
Yeah, I didn't know you were going to ask us about that, but that's fine. No, we're very excited that we were thinking about if we could do anything with our group this year, what would we want to do? And our kids are doing wonderful things. We're incredibly proud of them. And so we kind of threw our hat in the ring to play at Carnegie Hall when looking at the history of our group, something that we haven't done that we want our kids to do. So we went through that process and things kind of fell into place. So we're going to have the chance to travel up to New York City on April 26th, and it'll be our Carnegie Hall debut. And we're excited. I didn't mention this, but we commission a work every year. So we'll give the world premiere of a new work by James David, who is writing some of the very, very best music for bands right now. Won the Ravelli 2 years ago. And so, yeah, we're just deep into that right now. And so that's a lot of our focus, figuring out what we're going to play, how to get there, how to make that happen, and connect with the kids around that experience.
Yeah, fantastic. You know, one of the things that I really admire about what you do in your program is something you said right off the top there. We're looking for something that we haven't done. What is the new thing, you know, that potentially moves the program forward? And I think that's wonderful, and I think that's a lesson for everyone out there as they assess their program. So again, I say kudos to you and all that you've done in that program.
Yeah, I feel like, you know, to be the best teacher that I can be, that I need to keep growing that way. And whether it's doing new music or putting yourselves in situations where you're uncomfortable or coming on podcasts and answering questions. I think that's really important to remember what it's like to be a student, to be doing new things, to be outside of your comfort zone and growing so that we can be real role models for our students. So yeah, it's something that's important to us.
Lifelong learning. I'm with you there. So let's talk about SLAM, Servant Leadership Association for Music. Speaking of new things that are happening that you're a part of, I just think we need a baseline first. Tell us what this is.
Yeah, so you started with that. It is the Servant Leadership Association for Music. So this is a group of teachers and future teachers. That's an important part of our vision as well. And it's really a community. This is music educators that are supporting each other with tools and resources to build culture in their own classrooms, with the idea that we can allow our students to become the best versions of themselves. And then we can also allow our ensembles to become the best groups that they can be. As Scott Rush says, he's one of our other founding board members. He's done wonderful work with the Habit series, if you haven't seen the Habit series yet. But he says that we're in the music business and that we're in the people business, and that we don't have to choose one over the other. In fact, they're really closely connected if we're doing it right. And one is constantly lifting the other up to a new level. As our relationships grow, our music making grows. As our music making grows, we grow in those connections and those relationships. And so something when we're talking about what is SLAM that I really love about SLAM is that it's for all teachers. It's for all strands. So on our board and part of our focus and within our guests that we have, excuse me, we have ensemble directors at all levels. We have choir directors and band directors, orchestra directors. We have middle school teachers and folks on our boards and guests that focus just on middle school. We have professors at the collegiate level that are working with pre-service teachers, and we have pre-service teachers and private teachers and retired teachers that just want to stay involved and connected. Anyone that wants to keep developing the best possible culture in their classroom and in their lives. And I probably said the word a couple times. I didn't track myself there. But when I think of the group, I think of culture. It's about how we live as a group, as Dr. Tim would say. And none of this is in the place of making great music or learning music at all. In fact, it's all about making the best music and learning the best music. The idea that if we live well and we live together, then we have a chance to perform well and learn well by that synergy that we'll create together. And I'm sure you've noticed, even though it's a day off for you and me, our bells are still in session.
Yeah.
We're in a school. That's going to happen.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I've been to many marching band rehearsals on a Saturday, and the bells still go off on a Saturday as well. So talk to us a little bit about, starting new things is not easy, right? That's the organization of it is daunting for sure. So talk to us walk us through this. Like, where did this idea come to actually create this thing that has been created?
Well, I think that we've been very why based in our approach here. And so in September of, let me get this right, 2021, several of us got an invitation from Dr. Tim Lotzenheiser, Scott Rush, and Alec Harris, who's the president of GIA Publications. He's an incredibly forward thinker, so supportive of what we do in music education, to come together. So there was 18 of us total, along with Scott and Alec and Tim, to basically kind of a think tank weekend. And so we started from the very beginning, and we asked things like, is this community something that can make a difference? Is it something that our profession needs? Is this an area where we have a need? And what can this group be if it could be anything? What will it be for our profession? And so we left that weekend with the idea of, yes, this will make a difference, that there is a need for this within our profession, and that we needed to start now, right now, following the pandemic. And so from September to February, we launched in February of 2022. Like you said, it's a very new group, because we knew we needed to get to work. So the group's less than 2 years old. It's already making a difference in the lives of teachers, though, and students, with hundreds of members and connecting some really amazing people. On a personal note, for me, coming to this, and you talked about launching this and the why behind it. In my undergrad, Dr. Tim was my teacher. And everything that we learned pedagogically was coupled with culture and relationship building and connections and how we live. And that's made all of the difference in my life and in my teaching. And I really thought everyone was getting that as an integral part of their teacher training. And I was just not naive that way. I didn't realize how lucky I was, how different it was, and how blessed I was. And so now, wherever we are, we can link up with people that really, really care about changing lives through music, like Tim does. And I imagine you've probably had experiences like this before, where you come back from a professional development session or a really passionate weekend, and you're supercharged and you're feeling that energy. And we want to keep that going on a regular basis in our lives, because it makes that difference, that constant connection. That's the difference, that constant connection with other people that want those same things. So 20 some years in, I know that through this group, I'm still learning and growing, being with the board members and meeting these folks has really, really impacted my life in the last couple of years already, because music teaching, music learning, what we do, it always comes back to people. And I think, frankly, we need this now more than ever. So I told you how that was my undergrad experience, but we have some university music ed programs, university professors that are having their students join and attend slam meetings as part of their undergraduate coursework, which I think is really cool, that young teachers are starting to connect with this now and have this early on in their career to create that balance within what they're doing between pedagogy and why we really do what we do.
Yeah. So, I mean, you've kind of talked through a little bit of what the outcomes are like, if, the kind of the bigger arching thing. So I guess I'm curious then, how do people access it? Like what is the actual work that you all are doing that people can access and be part of?
Yeah. And so I think that for most of us, that we want to make a positive change in the lives of others through music. That's why most of us got into teaching music. Our lives were changed. We wanted to continue to have that in our lives and to share that with other people. And I think that either our content or our culture is going to cap that, whichever is less developed. It's content and culture. And whether it's going to cap our students' musical experience, it's going to cap their personal experiences. So we need to develop both equally, like we talked about before. And so this is to answer your question. Then I think that we can do those things, but we just need to be intentional about them. We've probably all figured out ways to be intentional about teaching the circle of fifths, or how we want to teach articulation, or cleaning drill, or a Latin text in our choral rehearsal. But being intentional about developing culture, developing how our students live on a regular basis. And so there are ways to teach content pedagogically that will empower our students to serve each other and to live well. And when we talk about servant leadership, I don't think it's just about moving chairs or playing games, or planning social events, but really connecting around music, the thing that's brought us together. So we want our teachers to be able to bring it home. Then, I mentioned before about going to the conference. We send our students maybe to leadership camps or drum major camps, and they're wonderful. But when they come home, if that's not cultivated on a regular basis, it'll wear off. And you had a lot of students that maybe weren't at that event. So we want our teachers, our SLAM members to bring it home and carry that torch in our own classroom. So we're looking at things like the best ways to teach music. How do we move from a teacher-centered classroom to a student-centered classroom, and look at what their needs are? How do we prioritize student involvement? And I think that's when the switch, for me personally, really flips, when our students feel empowered. I think a lot of us, I know I've said it, maybe others of you have said it, that this is your band, or this is your choir, this is your group. Well, how do we make that more true? And how do we make it true musically and non-musically, so that our programs, if you look at it, are the students there to serve the program, or are the programs there to serve the students, so that we're really using our programs to serve our students. And this is probably a conversation for another day, but I think that change in mindset is what our profession needs to stay relevant in our students' lives and in education. So SLAM's all about that community of music teachers serving each other to make that possible. And I don't know, if you wanted to talk about specifically how that works, or how do we do that? I didn't know if that was.
Yeah. Let's come back to that for a second. I mean, I just appreciate like that. So many times when I'm in conversations with music teachers, I don't want to generalize, but I'll generalize slightly, that there are folks who say, well, this is the type of music that my ensemble did when I was in school, so this is what I want to do, and this is what it should be. Where others say, yeah, I want to honor that, but also I want to realize that students have changed, that these students now are not the same as when I was in school. So how do we take what their lived experience is and incorporate that, and also incorporate the changes in styles of music, the changes in the way compositions have been written. And I see those kind of two camps of people. And then I, look at the programs and see, boy, those ones that are really intentional about understanding the bigger picture are generally more successful. Because there's more than student buy-in, and to use the word that you have used a few times here, it is culture. That is the importance of culture.
And I'm not dodging the question about different types of music and such, but I think whatever type of music you're doing, to answer your question, it's about involving the students in that process.
Yeah.
If you want to do, I'm just going to give examples. If you want to do Persichetti, about involving them in the process of coming to understand Persichetti and why we're doing Persichetti, and if you're doing a really contemporary piece, or if there's something you want to do with your marching band, or you want to add performances to your middle school choir to do more outreach and make connections, I think involving them in vision setting, having regular reflections, that's where the switch flips, as I've said, when they feel like the group is theirs. And so obviously the repertoire we pick is really, really important, and I'm not dodging that part of it all. But whatever you choose to do, when you give them opportunities to mentor other students, that you give them opportunities to to share in building the culture of the group, the life of the group, that whatever we want, we want to give it away. How does it feel like to be in band? There's a why beyond just we hear students saying, well, I don't like that piece, or I do like that piece. And a lot of the world's become about what we like, but instead giving a greater purpose of, I'll often share with my students, if you ever aren't sure what to do, just look around. Look at any other student. There's a student around you that needs help. There's a younger student that needs help. And if you give that away, you're going to have the best band experience. So in inviting your students to talk and be a part of the rehearsal process. We personally like our students to talk first and last in all of our rehearsals. That's one of our goals. So we encourage our students, and I'm just thinking these things on the spots, but to create a motto. Our seniors every year create a motto for what their vision is for the year. What specifically, so we obviously have a band motto, but specifically, what do we want to be this year? So going beyond just, the notes and the rhythms on the page and to a more profound way of living together. So I'm not sure if that's what you're getting
Yeah,
at.
no, I love that. That's great, and I appreciate those examples. So, I gather then these types of examples are things that are talked about in Slam and this type of, since that's what we're talking about, obviously. So, what tell us, like, how can people actually access this and be part of your work?
So I think I'll share it in two ways. So I think the one part is that the important part becomes consistency, so that this is what we value. This is what it goes back to what we really want for our students, in creating a community of people that say, yeah, I do value this. And so interacting with Dr. Tim and Scott Rush and the other amazing board members and just the other members of the group. I don't know if you've come across Matthew Arau's book, Upbeat, yet. Matthew'd be a great guest, but interacting with these people on a regular basis is so important. And that's how we bring it to our classrooms. So it's not the one-time thing. Even when you go to these great sessions or take your kids to a motivational experience, it's about bringing at home. And I actually, thinking you would do this, I wrote this down because there's so many, I don't want to miss one. So what does it mean to be involved with Slam? So each semester there's live coaching sessions every week. So again, every week you're meeting with Dr. Tim, Scott Rush, other Slam guests. And that live interaction is great, but they're also posted. So it's Sunday night, but if Sunday night doesn't work for you, you have church choir, whatever it is, they're posted. You can watch them during the week, during your prep, have them on in the background. Every Monday, you're getting an email from Tim Lotzenheiser, again, centered around the things that we talked about this week. And when I go into the week, I don't know about all of you, but I come in on a Monday morning or a Tuesday morning this week, and I'll have a lot of emails, a lot asked of me, and it just grounds me back to what is most important. Here's all the what stuff I have to do, but why am I here as a music teacher? What kind of connections would I want to have with my students? And then that makes or leads us to the most profound music making. There's a monthly newsletter. There's, if you coming into Slam now, you can access all of the things that have ever been posted before. There's like a content vault. There's a Facebook group where you can ask questions and have board members answer specific questions. It's private, so it's just for our members, where you can talk about things that your program needs, or hey, how would you help this? And you get 15 answers just like that. And then there's each summer, there's some people that really want to take it to the level that each summer now there is a short weekend long certification kind of course. It's an intensive where you just work on and address this. So for me, it's just connecting with these people, staying in touch with these people. In Pennsylvania, compared to other parts of the country, I think our districts can be a little bit smaller. We can sometimes be easily isolated as maybe the only band director or the only music teacher in the building. So Slam keeps me grounded on moving beyond the what to how I want to live with my students, what I really want them to have, why I got into music, beyond the notes and the rhythms, to making real connections with them. I think it's the missing piece in what we're doing in education sometime, when we as teachers become so overloaded with the what type of things.
Yeah,
I hope that's what you were looking for.
Yeah, it is for sure. I like how
rubber meets the road.
Yeah, I love this idea of bringing it back to the why, and that's a real helpful way to do it. So people can find out more about this and access it at slamleadership.org. It's a great website. The resources are there, and I think that this does have that potential to be a game changer for all of us based on the conversations that you're already happening. And honestly, based on the buzz that I have already seen that this has created within the music ed space. So Len, thanks for taking some time to talk to us about this today.
Can I throw out one other thing for you?
Please.
Only because it's such a neat opportunity. So today's Monday, this Sunday, and I wrote this down too. So the 21st, so this is this coming Sunday, we have a free open house to start off the semester. So we have those 12 coachings all semester, and our guest is Fran Kick. That's why I felt like I had to throw this in. So you're shaking your head.
Yep.
If you know Fran, you know you need to be there. It's free. And if you don't know Fran yet, then you need to be there to find out what this is about. So to register for this free, you'll get the free Zoom link. You have to go to Fran's website, which is kickitin.com/slam. And I can send this to you. There's a little graphic if that's helpful at all, Mark. But it really takes the next step to show you what the group is about. And then membership down the line, there's free resources. Fran's giving out a bunch of free resources if you just attend and become a member. But for the small amount that I spend to be a member, and I think of the other things that I spend money on a daily basis and what it costs to go to those other places, it's making a difference in my teaching in a place that there really isn't something else feeding me right now, when all of us feel a little bit more maybe pulled than we ever have. But you don't want to miss Fran this Sunday, the 21st. It's free. Just go to his website, kickitin.com/slam, and you can register. Come see what it's about for yourself. See if it's something you want to spend more time with this community of people.
Yeah, and it's a great community of people. I mean, the names that I'm seeing involved, this is definitely the place to be. So, Len, thanks for doing this on a day off. We appreciate it, and best of luck to you as Slam continues, but also as you guys head off to Carnegie Hall.
You're very kind. Thanks for having us very much.
All right, and thank you all for joining us on this edition of PMEA's Take Note podcast. We want to thank our sponsor, the Grove City College Department of Music. We'll see you next time.